So we're going to be going over the compass template. Remember, this template itself is used for other movements. So this is just going over the basic footwork positions that you would be in. And then depending on what movement you're doing, you will do stuff out of those positions. So this is just the footwork, how you would initially set up as you're moving through whatever variation you're doing. So now, key things for the template, regardless of which position your feet go in, your toes, your hips, and your shoulders will always point forward. So regardless of the directions that I'm going to be stepping, I will always point forward, okay? You may end up changing which leg is loaded more in terms of your weight distribution, but for right now, let's say we're going to load slightly more weight onto the leg that has done the step. So if I'm stepping with my right, let's say we're going to put 60% of my weight, 70%, just a little bit more to that leg. And then that may change as specified in the variations. But for now, we'll load the leg a little bit more than we step with. Okay? So initially I can just start, remember, toes always forward, hips always forward, shoulders always forward. And let's be about hip width apart. We're going to be doing our right side first. Okay? So we're going to step straight forward. I don't ever cross over the midline, so my straight forward should still leave space between my hips. I'm not going to be walking on a balance beam at any point. So from here, I'm going to take my step forward. It's not a big step, at least as a base template. It's just going to be a step, okay? And now remember, the leg that I stepped with, I'm going to load a little bit more weight over onto that leg. So both knees are bent. I've let my back heel raise a bit. That's just for right now something that should feel natural. It does work perfectly fine if you left the heel down. Just remember, I want more weight on my front leg. Okay? Now from there, we have 45 degrees into the front. So if I have my straight up and then I have straight to the side, I'm going to basically just step at the diagonal, but I still want my foot facing forward. So I'm going to step at the diagonal, and now I'm going to still load more weight over onto that side. Okay, double check that everything is still facing forward. Okay, then I can return. I'm going to go straight to the side. So it's a lateral step. I step to the side, and now I need to load that leg a little bit more. So this one is now bent. This one, it could actually still be bent if you'd like, but it'll be straighter. My weight's sitting over here. Okay, now the steps behind yourself, the posterior steps. In general, you'll always want to make these a shorter, smaller step than you think you'll need to. As you go through the variations, it'll make more sense. But think of it as whichever way I'm stepping, I want about a foot length, right? So like that would be about a foot or so, give or take. That's kind of the distance you're going to be thinking of as far as when you're going. So I'm going to go 45 degrees to behind myself. So I'm still stepping with my right leg. I'm just going to take a 1 foot length step, and it's going to go at 45 degrees. So I'm heel to toe in terms of spacing, diagonal, and now I need to load my back leg. So I'm still going to sit over on this side. Okay, I'm going to show this one from the side. Everything is still pointing forward. I'm loading the leg. Notice the hip on that side is pushing outward. So you can think of it as like your hip bone is trying to be a little bit outside of your ankle bone, okay? So from the side, it's about 1 foot width or length, right? So that's about heel to toe. And then as I step, I'm gonna take that hip and try and move it back so it's a little bit outside of this ankle, okay? The shin should also be fairly vertical. That's usually a good indicator. You'll know that you probably stepped too far. So let's say I took a step out here. If it feels like that shin can't remain vertical and you end up doing something like this, where that knee gets driven forward, it'll feel very shaky in that position. So that needs to come up. And you can see that's not that much further. That's like maybe 1.5 feet. If I get here, then I could actually sit over to that way. Okay. The final one is a straight back, so straight posterior. So my foot is going to stay directly under my hip, And remember, it's a small step about heel to toe, as opposed to just 45 out to the side. And I just sit on that leg. So I would be here for the posterior. So again, from the side, underneath my hips, about 1 foot length, and then that hip is trying to stay outside of the ankle. The shin is still vertical. Okay? And we'll go through fast as a review on the other leg, but it's essentially just the mirror. So I have straight forward, okay? Everything pointing forward. I have 45 degrees, everything pointing forward. Lateral, everything still forward. Posterior, we have 45 degrees. So remember, small step, sitting the hip outside the ankle, and then straight back, 1 foot length, sit the hip outside the ankle. And that's our template for the compass.